fence facing 126th Street, now out where everybody can see them.
As they should be.
Absolutely. So here's Eugenio Velez, who was called up from the minor leagues on the 27th of July, and all of a sudden has got into a raging hot streak, one of the fastest players in the league, and now he has been hitting since coming back from the minor leagues. He's hitting .382, and because of that, Bruce Bochy's been running him out there every day. First pitch from Parnell is ball one.
Well, Velez, a switch hitter, just tearing up left-handers. Excuse me, right-handers, hitting .351 with 3 home runs, struggling against the lefties. Big open stance.
27-year-old Dominican fouls one back, and it's 1-1. Velez has been a second baseman through most of his career, but the Giants have been using him in the outfield in recent days, and he's playing in left field tonight. He's also played some center field for the Giants, but his #1 tool is his legs. Taken high, and it's 2-1. Parnell making his second big league start, and there's another upgrade here at Citi Field. That's a video board which will show the live action in the right field corner. That'll help some of the folks in seats in left field and third base that are partially blocked from seeing the outfield below them. Fouled away, and it's 2-2 to Velez. There's also another new video board in the promenade concourse behind home plate, where a lot of the concession stands are, so folks can follow the action there as they can out of the center field fan fest area. Freddie Sanchez on deck, and then Pablo Sandoval for the Giants, who start the night a game and a half out of the wild card race in the National League. A game and a half behind the Rockies. The Giants were just in Los Angeles for 3 days, lost the first 2 of that series. Actually, they were home against the Dodgers, I should say. Lost the first 2 of that series before winning in walk-off fashion on Wednesday.
There's Mr. Lincecum right there. He pitched a great game in that finale against the Dodgers. He didn't get the win. He had a 2-1 lead going into the 8th inning, and or was it the 9th?
9th.
And he coughed it up, but the Giants went on to win on a Uribe home run, 2-run shot in extra innings.
Long opening at bat for Eugenio Velez, and this is what befell Parnell early in his start in San Diego. A lot of long at bats, leading to far more pitches early in the game than he would have liked. Wound up throwing 68 pitches in 2 1/3, and that was his limit. Tonight, the plan is to allow Bobby to throw somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 to 85 pitches.
Well, it's his first slider of the night right there. It's pitching coach Dan Warthen. And when you throw hard upstairs and you're throwing predominantly fastballs, and Parnell was very much aware that they were sitting on his fastball, but they're going to get a piece of it, big league hitters.
And there's a slider in for a call, third strike. So Velez down looking, and Parnell has his first down of the night.
Well, as simple as that, Bobby. Right there, a nice backdoor slider. Had some plate. You see the leg kick, but off speed, and it had down break and sharp late down break, and that fooled Velez.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Freddie Sanchez, who's played 9 games for the Giants, is coming over in the trade from the Pirates a day before the trading deadline. 31-year-old Sanchez, former National League batting champ, takes at the knees for a strike, 0-1.
This is not a team with a lot of power. They're 15th, just 1 in front of the Mets. Mets are last in home runs. They're 15th in home runs. They are not a team that walks, Gary. They're not a team that steals bases.
And as a result of all that, the Giants are averaging less than 4 runs per game. They are 3rd from the bottom of the league in runs scored.
Well, there you see Parnell, all legs, big, tall, straight up and down. There's the leg kick and the push off.
Ahead on Sanchez, 0-2 with 1 out and nobody on. And Freddie bounces one slowly foul. Sanchez, who came up through the Red Sox organization, won a batting championship in Pittsburgh. As you look at Kung Fu Panda, Pablo Sandoval waiting on deck.
Just another name on the list of batting champions in that Pittsburgh Pirate organization over the years.
And he was part of the purge of veterans right before the trading deadline in Pittsburgh. Anderson Hernandez scoops up the grounder and throws out Sanchez for the second out. So Parnell has set down the first 2. And here is Sandoval, who has been the key player in the Giants offense this year. He's second in the National League in batting, hitting at .329, trailing only Hanley Ramirez. Leads the team with 17 home runs and 68 RBIs. He's only 22 years old, and he's been a delight. Giant fans have made him a favorite very quickly. He made his major league debut a year ago tonight. So technically he's not a rookie, but Sandoval in his first full big league year is having himself quite a season.
He's been playing third baseman. Not an outstanding glove at third, just gets it done adequate. But boy, he swings the bat from both sides of the plate.
And swing it he does. Swings at the highest percentage of pitches in the league, and he swings and drives that one through the middle for the first hit of the night. His 136th hit of the year.
This is the changeup right here, Gare. First changeup of the day for Parnell, and that pretty good spot. What are you going to do there? Sometimes those hitters get paid for a living too, and you got to tip your hat. Good pitch, good hitting.
So Sandoval aboard with 2 out. And now Benji Molina, another guy who has rarely seen a pitch he doesn't want to swing at. 381 at bats this year, 8 walks for Molina. Hitting at .262 on the year. The Mets went to San Francisco for a 4-game series in May, and they won the first 3 games of that series, scoring 24 runs in the 3 games against the best pitching staff in the league. But then Matt Cain shut them out on a Sunday night. Then they went to Los Angeles, lost 3 in a row, and that road trip was kind of a tipping point for the Mets season. Even though they then went to Boston and won 2 out of 3, including the dramatic victory on the Omir Santos home run.
It has been a year for Met fans that has been very much a tease. I think they got it going early and just starts and stops, and it's just kind of fallen apart here in the second half of the season.
Magnified, of course, by all the injuries. Up and in, and Molina has to dash out of the way. 2-1.
Well, the target's away. He just gets away from him, and you know, nothing's wrong with that. It's an interesting. I'll talk about that later. I'll bring that up later. Collect my thoughts.
How will I know what to remind you about?
I had 9 days off. I'm a little rusty. Let me collect my thoughts.
2-1 to Molina. And he pops one up in foul ground. That'll go out of play. I mean, I'll be very happy to, to jog your thought process, but I have no idea what you were going to say.
It was in today's paper, and I got it. Joel Sherman's column I thought was very interesting today in the New York Post.
But what you're saying is you didn't want to bring it up with 2 out.
Well, I wanted to bring it up
2 strikes
after the brushback pitch.
I see. Well, we'll get back.
One thing in Joel's column that he neglected to bring up when comparing Gibson to pitching today, with all that higher mound and about as many hitters in the lineup.
Low and away to Molina, 3-2.
And so it just came to my mind when the brushback pitch to Molina, and how would hitters react today when they're much more liberal, and you see the pitch count right there, and that's excellent. 15 strikes, 5 balls, when pitchers used to knock you down. And today it's not even on the table. There was a day when you had to go in there with your crouch and be ready to pull the ejector button to get down.
So you're saying that was yet another advantage for pitchers?
Yes.
Sandoval runs 3-2 to Molina, bounced up to the third baseline. Fair ball for Wright to handle. Molina didn't get out of the batter's box thinking it was foul, and Wright throws him out with ease for the final out of the inning. So a successful opening inning for Parnell. Zito goes to Giants no score. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup for tonight. Jeff Francoeur swung the bat better than anybody on the Mets road trip. Angel Pagan back in the lineup after sitting the last 2 games in favor of Corey Sullivan, in there mostly because there's a left-hander on the mound, and another start at first base for Fernando Tatis, his 2nd in a row.
Well, Barry Zito, former 2002 American League Cy Young Award winner, signed the big contract last year with the Giants, and just had a I'm not going to say awful season, but not a good season. And boy, he's doing a little better this year. 3-game winning streak, and the Ford defense, 2-time Gold Glover out there in Mr. Molina, and he can throw too.
Angel Pagan leads things off and takes a strike from Zito, who has turned it up a notch over his last 5 starts. Pagan, on the other hand, just 1 for his last 15 after a very strong start to the month of August.
There's the big curveball from Barry.
Pagan hitting just .231 as a right-hand batter, .305 from the left side, and an extended run of playing time uninterrupted for almost a month. The man he's replacing, Carlos Beltran, was out early today testing his injured right knee, wearing a heavy brace on that knee, running after some fly balls and ground balls in the outfield, and Jerry Manuel said he was very, very encouraged with what he saw from Beltran today.
Pagan hits one deep to left field. Back goes Velez, looking up, and it's out of here. Angel Pagan leads off the first inning with a home run, his 3rd of the year. And the Mets take a 1-0 lead.
Well, Pagan's 3 home runs have all come from the right side of the plate. Behind in the count, and he powers one deep off Zito to give the Mets the lead.
Well, what does Zito try to do here? Tries to throw a fastball inside after 2 big hooks, and did not fool Pagan.
First career leadoff home run for Pagan, who had not hit a home run in a couple of years before the last homestand.
Oh, there it is right there. Perfect hitting. He just turned on it. Wasn't the least bit fooled. That ball did not get in enough. Remember last year, Gary, Zito, as you can see the pitch differential, the IOTV pitch differential, that's set a knee high. That's got plate and up.
That would be not even close.
But remember last year, Zito's velocity was way down. There was great concern that he had arm problems. He said he didn't have arm problems. He's been pitching around 87 tonight so far.
3-1 now to Castillo. We had the go-ahead hit as a pinch hitter on Wednesday afternoon in the Mets' victory in the 8th inning. And he bounces one toward third, a foul ball. Well, the home run by Pagan, the first leadoff home run by a Met this season.
Wow.
It's been nearly 3 months since the Mets had the man they expected to be in that leadoff spot in the lineup. 3-2. And it's on the outside corner, strike 3 called. So Castillo down looking, and that's the first out for Zito. And Castillo has been striking out recently at an alarming rate.
That's got corner.
And most have come on call 3rd strikes.
That is a good pitch. It's got the borderline. That's too close to take, as the old saying goes.
So Zito has averaged just under 7 strikeouts per 9 innings, and that's up for him this year. That's the first out, and here's David Wright coming off a 3-hit game on Wednesday, now 4th in the National League with his .325 average, and he takes a strike. David appeared to tweak his leg while running out what turned out to be an infield hit and error in the 9th inning Wednesday. And it was a little strange after the game because Jerry Manuel said that David had strained something behind his knee, and David said, "There's nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong. I'm good to go." And as it turns out, he was right. Here he is back in the lineup again tonight. And he hits one to right field, and Scherholz moving over makes the grab for the 2nd out. So Wright is retired on the opposite field fly ball. 2 away for Gary Sheffield.
Well, I think one thing that David has found out about this ballpark is that David, those home runs he used to hit at Shea, it's not happening here at Citi Field in that Mo zone over there, where that right field corner, right in here, it goes back, kind of would you call it concave here? Is that the right word?
Sure, why not?
Yes, and that just adds more distance. It's a tough spot to hit a home run. Opposite field.
Gary Sheffield takes a strike. Well, David hit an opposite field home run on the last homestand, which to date is the only opposite field home run that a Met has hit at Citi Field in 55 games this season. 1-1 to Sheffield. There have been 7 opposition opposite field home runs this year, but only 1 by a Met. Jeff Francoeur waiting on deck. Sheffield takes the curveball for a strike, and it's 1-2.
Nice hook right there from Zito. Right over the top. He's got the big hammer.
And another one, low and inside, 2-2. Sheffield returned to the lineup on Wednesday after missing a week, and had a couple of hits, including an infield hit, as he continues to battle back from hamstring problems. And he takes the curveball high, and it's 3-2. Barry Zito, now 31 years old. 3rd year with the Giants after signing that big money deal, coming over as a free agent from Oakland. Mets courted Zito quite a bit during his free agency, but the Giants blew him away with a 7-year contract. And it's been tough for Zito to justify those numbers over his first 2.5 years as a Giant. 3-2 to Sheffield. Swing and a miss. He got him. And Zito has his second strikeout of the inning. But the Mets grab the early lead. Angel Pagan hits the first leadoff home. Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
And don't forget that Philly series at the end of the road trip is a 4-game series ending on Monday. And the Mets have to go off and down to Miami and play 3 with those Marlins.
You're getting a little ahead of yourself. I was going to tell the folks about tomorrow, because you know tomorrow was originally supposed to be a night game and we were supposed to be broadcasting.
Right.
But instead the Fox people decided it was such an attractive game they wanted to have it for their national broadcast. So it's at 4 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll rejoin you Sunday for the 1 o'clock game.
And it's a wonderful pitching matchup tomorrow.
It is. So I'm going to come and sit in the stands and watch it as a fan.
Good for you.
Johan Santana and Matt Cain. What could be better than that, right?
Who are you bringing?
My wife.
Oh, okay.
Ryan Garco fouls one at the plate. So you see Santana against Cain tomorrow. Mike Pelfrey against Jonathan Sanchez, who threw a no-hitter last month. And then Levon Hernandez will start on Monday. Jerry Manuel said today Levo will keep his spot in the rotation. And Joe Martinez, the kid from Seton Hall Prep, who suffered the skull fracture early this year, will make the start for the Giants. Ryan Garco rolls one out to Castillo, and he's retired for the first out. So Garco, the former Cleveland Indian who came over before the trading deadline. 3 ground ball outs already for Parnell among his first 4 outs. And now Nate Shearholtz, who's just back from the disabled list. Shearholtz was out with a left hip strain, came back on Wednesday, and he had been red hot before going on the disabled list. And that has relegated Randy Winn and Fred Lewis to the bench for the Giants, guys who were mainstays in their lineup for most of the season.
Well, I liked Fred Lewis. I thought he had a chance to be a pretty good player, and it's not over for him. He's still young, but he has not had a very good season this year. I think he's got a world of talent. Well, there's the old Philly, White Sox, Aaron Rowan.
Shearholtz drives one to left, but right at Sheffield for the second out. So Shearholtz hitting it hard the other way, 2 out and nobody on, and Parnell being a lot more efficient early in this outing than he was in San Diego.
Well, he settled in after the first at bat to Velez, who got an extended at bat against Bobby, fouled off a lot of pitches until he struck him out looking.
So now Aaron Rowan, who had been hot for a while, but he has sunk back into the morass over the last month. But a tough go for Rowan since he came to San Francisco as a big money free agent. He's not hit the way they had hoped. Over the last 26 games, Rowan hitting just 171.
Well, he's playing in a much bigger ballpark in San Francisco as opposed to, of course, Philadelphia.
That one knocked Omir Santos down to his knees.
Let's see where it got him. Oh, shoulder, cut clavicle.
Same right shoulder that he took a foul ball off on Wednesday.
Right clavicle. That hurts.
And Ray Ramirez, the trainer, is going to come out along with Jerry Manuel to see if they can be of any assistance.
I got hit in the clavicle once here against the Cardinals. I forget, one of those competitive years, either 87 or 85 when we battled in September against Ken Daly, who threw hard. He had me 0-2 at Shea. He threw me up and in, and here it is again. And that hurts.
I mean, you got padding there, but
still,
you take a direct hit like that off the bone.
Yep. He's going to stay in.
Well, he's a catcher, and he's tough. He took a strong shoulder-to-shoulder hit from Mark Reynolds in the game on Wednesday.
Mark Reynolds had no business down 2 runs trying to score on this tapper in front of home plate, but nice play by Feliciano. And that's good old-fashioned clean baseball.
I don't remember the last time we saw that kind of a hit in a game, but that's what you like to see. Reynolds doing it the right way, and Santos saying it was a good clean hit, one he'll remember a long time. But this last one, this foul ball off his shoulder, this has taken a long time for him to feel better. And they're going to have him take a practice throw now to see if he's okay.
Well, a nice shot right there. Nice crowd.
Well, he took one throw, but apparently he feels he needs another one.
Wild horses.
He is still wincing quite a bit.
Yeah, wild horses are not going to drag him out of that lineup.
Well, he's obviously convinced Jerry Manuel and Ray Ramirez he can stay in, but clearly Omir's in a considerable amount of pain. 2 out in the inning, so he hopes to get in the dugout quickly. 1-1 to Aaron Rowan. And Rowan knows about a little pain on the field.
Oh, gosh, I'm going to catch in Philly.
A face plant he did into the center field fence at Citizens Bank Park.
I really feel he left his imprint on that Philly club.
Swing and a miss, and Parnell with the fastball strikes out Rowan. His second strikeout. Now Santos can go get some treatment as Parnell sets him down 1-2-3. 1-0. game on your computer with MLB.tv, the ultimate baseball experience featuring 100 out-of-market Mets games per week, live on your computer, and catch those you missed on demand. For more details, visit Mets.com, where baseball is always on. Jeff Francoeur has been taking a lot of first pitches, particularly in his first at-bat of the day. And Jeff has been hot with the bat. Had a 7-game hitting streak stopped Wednesday. Pops this one fouling out of play. And it's 1-1.
Well, since Jonah, you can see right there, catcher's commiserating. Snyder's been there before.
And Santos due up third in the inning. Doesn't give him long.
What an ice bag on that shoulder, guys.
Curveball hit to right field, and Shearholtz is there. That retires Francoeur, 1 out. So Zito's retired 4 in a row since the opening home run by Pagan. And now here's Fernando Tatis. He comes off a 3-hit game on Wednesday afternoon in the Mets' lone victory in Arizona. Surprising to see Tatis in the lineup on Wednesday because the Mets were facing a right-hander.
I was also.
Less surprising to see him out there tonight against Zito, particularly after a good game against Arizona. And Zito works him inside for ball 1. And there is Santos grimacing with every swing on deck.
Daniel Murphy.
Tatis trying to bring the third baseman Sandoval in, and it's 1-1.
Barry Zito always got the high legs, showing the socks. Old-fashioned style there. I missed those stirrups, though.
And curveball drops in for a strike. 1-2 to Tatis.
Well, we'll take a look at the motion here. Just not much. A big leg kick. Big drive off the mound.
Barry Zito's been throwing that curveball since he was 7 years old. Don't try that at home, kids.
No, I would not recommend it. It's always good to strengthen your arm when you're young. And the way I had a good arm. My father have us throw at long distance where we can throw it on a line. And we would back up 5 feet gradually as our arms got stronger.
Fastball fouled away. Now, you were a pretty good pitcher in high school. When did you start to throw a curveball, or did you?
I threw a curveball in Little League, but my dad put me on a curveball pitch count. I couldn't get carried away with it.
So you could throw some,
yes,
but not many.
I didn't need a secondary pitch in Little League.
Okay. What you're saying is
I
you
threw
just
hard.
blew them all away.
I threw hard.
Tatis fouls one away. Well, we talk all the time about Johan Santana and how great he's been in the second halves of seasons. Well, the same holds true for Barry Zito, and in some ways even more so, because Zito has the largest percentage differential between his pre-All-Star and post-All-Star numbers of anybody since they started playing the All-Star game in 1933. It's a 190-point difference in his winning percentage.
Well, the Giants are going to need it if they're going to make a run here. And we're talking about throwing long here, and this is pretty unusual, which Ronnie can comment on this. This was Zito before he went out and warmed up. Now, obviously, he had already thrown some pitches, and he's playing with his catcher right there. Long toss. Very interesting.
Ronnie could comment, except he's not here.
Ronnie's off. A tough road trip.
You see Ronnie. The Braves come in, right? Tuesday?
I believe so. We got Mr. Kiner.
Ralph's coming in Sunday.
Right.
Help us out.
Ralph's twice this. He's coming for the 69 night.
Of course. Has to be here for that a week from tomorrow. Tatis, a long turn at bat. This one may be playable as Garco is under it and squeezes it for the second out. So after a 10-pitch at bat, Tatis is retired, 2 away.
Well, look at the motion here. Watch his throwing wrist. Look how he cups it. That's the changeup. See, he's got that ball in the palm of his hand. It's almost like a palm ball he's throwing. Very interesting. Put that Drysdale curl there, huh?
And so Santos steps in and takes a strike. Almir just 1 for his last 15. His average down to 258. And he pulls that one foul. And you wonder, after watching Santos take that shot off his shoulder and now having to come up to bat in the next half inning, you wonder how catchers ever hit with all the abuse they take.
Infinitely more difficult, let alone the constant squatting. And
drives this one to left field, and there's Velez to grab it, side retired. So Santos hit it hard, but right to Velez, and now he'll go back behind the plate for Bobby Parnell as we head to the Bowl Friday night. Here's your AT&T high-speed pitch. Bobby Parnell topping out at 97 miles an hour, and Barry Zito at 88. In the first 2 innings of this game, Parnell has thrown 34 pitches over the first 2 innings. Edgar Renteria will lead things off for the Giants. Renteria now with 2,161 hits. That's 12th among active players, and Renteria is only 32 years old.
He is a fine player. He was one of my favorite players when he was younger. He's one of those guys that may have to move to third base as he gets older. He's lost some range at short.
I just wonder whether at third base he's going to hit for enough average and power to make that worthwhile. But what Renteria has always been is one of the best clutch hitters in the game. And even this year, when he's not having a great offensive season, he's hitting just 253 with 2 home runs, still hitting over 300 with runners in scoring position.
Well, 308 to be exact. And that's in 91 at bats.
Well, he established as a very young player that the hardest of circumstances brought out the best in him. At the game-winning hit in Game 7 of the World Series for the Marlins in 1997, as a very young player. 3-0 from Parnell, and there's a strike. Renteria's moved around a lot, and he had a year in Boston that he would like to forget, but he came back to the National League, played with the Cardinals and now with the Giants. And I think he's more comfortable in this league. By the way, speaking of the Red Sox and shortstops, they made a deal for a shortstop today. The Red Sox picked up Alex Gonzalez from the Reds. Another retread in that position. Gonzalez had played for the Red Sox back in '06. 3-2. Bounce past the mound and up the middle for a Renteria base hit. So the second hit off Bobby Parnell, and that'll get Zito up there in a bunting situation.
Well, the Red Sox got reason for concern. They're kind of dangling there. The Yankees just took care of business. That 4-game sweep. And See the defense right there. It's going to be a bunt situation. So David Wright very aggressive in. Got a bunt down the first base line. First baseman's got to hold him on. He'll be the last one there.
Zito has 8 sacrifices this year, but stabbed at that one. It's 0-1.
That was not a videotape for the proper way to bunt. Watch him. He's got the bat too far back, and then the stab. Touche.
Is that an epee or a saber?
On guard.
Or a foil?
Yeah, foil.
I am nearly your foil. And that one goes foul, and now it's 0-2 to Zito. What's the hardest pitch to bunt?
For me?
For anybody. You didn't bunt that much.
I would think a curveball would be tough to bunt because you're more inclined to go after a bad one in the dirt. I'm sure if you talk to a great bunter, they'll probably say the opposite. That's an easy one because it's a slower pitch and they can gauge it better.
Easier to deaden. 0-2 to Zito. See if the bunt's still on. And that's why Parnell throws to first base to try and get a read.
Boy, Francoeur really shallow and right.
Zito gives himself up and bunts it foul for strike 3. So Parnell has his 3rd strikeout as Zito fails to move the runner.
Well, there's Bruce Bochy. He's done a terrific job with this San Francisco Giant team after their 90+ loss season last year. Everybody just didn't think they had a chance to compete, and boy, they've done a good job.
Well, they've had the best pitching in the league, and their offense is still somewhat suspect, even with the additions they've made. I mean, you look at some of their overall offensive numbers, and you wonder how they win games sometimes. They don't hit home runs. They don't walk. They're 3rd from the bottom in runs scored, but you saw Tim Lincecum. He's a good reason. And so is Matt Cain, who's going to pitch tomorrow.
Well, you know, if Zito can pitch good in the second half, as he's done throughout his career, that gives him a great 1-2-3 punch.
And Sanchez is a great arm. He's already thrown a no-hitter. Randy Johnson gave them some good games. He's on the DL, but Randy could be back as a relief pitcher in September. Here's Velez, and he takes ball 2-0.
Well, the first at bat against Velez, he swung at a lot of pitches up in the strike zone in his eyes. And that's a young hitter, a very aggressive hitter that you can get ahead as a pitcher by throwing him a pitch that he can only foul back. If he's going to go keep fishing that high fastball, keep giving it to him. He's got a big swing for a guy I would think is not a power hitter. A little bit of an over swinger.
He's hit 3 home runs.
See, this is a good pitch to hit right here, 2-0, and it's just too big a swing and a big uppercut. He's got to be a cut and slash type hitter. Hit line drives, ground balls, utilizes speed.
And he really can run. Renteria at first with 1 out. And Velez takes a strike on the inside corner, bailing out on that fastball. He's got that exaggerated open stance, and the way he brings that leg around, he's so vulnerable to that inside pitch.
Well, it's a lot of extra movement, but you know what? Everybody has their own style of hitting, and he's been very successful. You see the pitch count, very good for Parnell. As far as the balls and strikes are concerned.
To shortstop, Hernandez gets the out at second, and Castillo to first. No chance to double up Velez, who can really get down the line. But that's the second out of the inning.
Well, nice play by Hernandez here, getting in front. Quick feed. Just too much speed with Velez down the line. Nice attempt. Castillo here on the takeout. Renteria knows how to do that. Gets right out of the way. Ole.
Now here's Freddie Sanchez with Velez at first and 2 out. Velez has only 2 stolen bases, but he hasn't played all that much. Sanchez grounded out to short his first time up. Tying run at first with 2 out. And Parnell keeping an eye on Velez.
Well, it's a good time to try to steal a bag here. If you get thrown out, you got Sanchez leading off the inning and tie his shoelace there. Sanchez has led off a lot with that Pirate ball club.
Bending that left leg, and Sanchez lifts one out to right center. Easy for Frank Gore, and that'll do it for the Giants in the top of the third. A leadoff hit and one left. 1-0 New York. Now let's take a look at the view from the Pepsi porch with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Gary, tonight the view is beautiful. What a night up here from the Pepsi porch, and special night here in Metland too, because it's the 64th birthday of one Jay Horowitz, our PR guru who has been here for so many years. His birthday today to celebrate Twinkies and Yoo-Hoo. That was his birthday celebration today. And if you know one thing about Jay and being around him all the time, no one gets his chops busted more than Jay Horowitz. It's plain and simple. From the moment that K-Rod got here, it's been nonstop, guys. I asked him about Jay's birthday. He said, well, I haven't gotten him a present, but if I had to describe him, it would be pain in the neck. And then he laughed because they always get along like that. And I asked some of the guys for some stories about Jay, and I thought here's one to typify it. It was from Razor Shines. And again, Jay always gets his chops busted. The Razor told me, you know, coming on board, he said the one thing that I noticed is that I've never seen Jay sleep. I mean, he gets up at 4:30 in the morning. He leaves the park way after all the players and coaches leaves. He said, but I did see him sleep one time. We were on the road, on a road trip. Went downstairs to the lobby of the hotel at about 7 a.m. as that one goes foul. And I saw Jay in his suit with his phone in hand, with his head tilted back, completely asleep. Even a little bit of drool coming out. And I said, Jay, and he woke up. And Jay said, I got to go catch the bus, and just ran out the door somewhere, and that was it. So it kind of gives you an idea of the hard-working Jay Horowitz. Happy birthday to you, Jay. Back to you guys.
I want to know, is Jay going to eat all those cupcakes himself?
I was just going to beat me to it.
Well, I think it would be appropriate, you know, since he's played at Shea Stadium, for somebody to bring in Paul McCartney to sing to Jay. Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
That's right.
Out to right center field. And that's where Aaron Rowan patrols. And Anderson Hernandez retired for the first out in the bottom of the third. So 7 in a row retired by Zito after giving up the leadoff home run to Pagan in the first inning. 1 out and nobody on. And now Bobby Parnell, who had a base hit in his first major league plate appearance on the last homestand, and then ruined that career 1,000 average by making it out in San Diego. Not too many guys get a 1,000 batting average and keep it. There are a few Mets on the ledger, people who were briefly with the Mets, or a couple of pitchers who hit 1,000 for their Mets career. There was a pitcher the Mets had named Ray Searage, who had the distinction of having a 1,000 batting average and a 1,000 winning percentage as a Met. As Parnell goes down swinging, Searage was 1-0 on the mound and 1-for-1 at the plate.
Left-hander.
Yeah, came from Milwaukee.
He played one in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I thought his name was Ray Surge. No, called him by his wrong name.
It could have been.
To the teammate.
Well, there you go.
Getting back to Jay briefly. Jay was the first Met personnel I met in Montreal when I joined the club up in Montreal at Stade Olympique. Jay met me at the ballpark underneath before the game. And I said, oh my gosh. Here we go. Only kidding, Jay.
What do you mean by that? 2-0 to Pagan, who smacked the home run his first time up.
They really got traded to the salt mines here.
You really didn't have a very positive view of this franchise before you got here,
Well,
did you?
of course not. They traded away Seaver, and they were stinky after that.
Those were the dark days, the late 70s and the early 80s, no question. And Pagan walks on 4 pitches, so Zito, after giving up the home run to Pagan first time around, a little careful there, and issues a 2-out walk. We'll see whether Pagan tries to swipe one here with Castillo at the plate. Louis went down looking his first time up.
Getting close to that August 20th date. It was a date in my mind here. The dog days were always July and August. And once you hit, for me, and it was purely mental, August 20th, that was when, for me, the stretch run started. And you got your second win. For whatever reason, that was the ding, that a red light went off in my brain on the 20th of August.
Was it the same whether you were in the race or out of the race?
Yes. Always wanted to finish strong. Wanted to have, it's more important to have a better second half, obviously, than a great finish. So that was always, I always tried to rise to the occasion. It all started on August 20th for me. You see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Pagan with 8 steals and 11 tries this year. And Castillo lays off 1-1. When the Mets faced the Giants the first time around, they were running like crazy. Of course, they still had Reyes healthy then, but they stole 13 bases in the 4-game series against the Giants in San Francisco back in May, including 7 in one game, which was a franchise record.
Well, David Wright got off to a very hot start with the stolen bases, and I think as they become more experienced, they'll be a little more judicious in their stolen bases, and so they have the strength for the second half. I'm not saying that they're tired by any stretch of the imagination. They're not, but they were really burning up the base paths early.
Let me correct myself, because just recalled, actually, San Francisco was where Reyes first came out of the lineup. Remember, the Mets had flown cross country, and he said he had a little tweak.
That's right.
And that was the first that he started missing games. So I don't think he played in that series. I think he came back in L.A., which is where he hurt it the second time. So they stole those 13 bases without Reyes. There goes Pagan, pitch high. Molina's throw right on the money, and Pagan is out at second base. 2-4 on the caught stealing. That'll do it for the Mets in the bottom of the third. Pablo Sandoval to lead off for the Giants. And you take a look at the vault tonight. First, we need a duck. The duck appears to be on hiatus.
Entree.
Who made the most relief appearances in his career before making his first start? Obviously, a reference to Bobby Parnell, who made 60 relief appearances before his first start last week in San Diego. Pablo Sandoval leads off in the fourth. Sandoval singled up the middle his first time up, and you saw him chase a pitch out of the strike zone, and he drives this one to right center. Back goes Frank Core, and short of the warning track, he runs it down. There are very few pitches that Sandoval will allow to get by him.
He's a free swinger, and we said this whole Giant ball club does not walk. They are 15th in the National League in on-base percentage at .310 coming into this game.
And dead last in walks, led by Benji Molina and his 8 walks this season. Molina grounded out to third base his first time up. And he takes a strike.
So this is not a lineup, the Giants here, that strikes fear in your heart. But they got good pitching, and they're in the hunt.
Well, they got humbled a bit in their 3-game series against the Dodgers. Lost 2 out of 3 as Molina hooks one foul down the left side. They did salvage the finale on the walk-off home run by Juan Uribe, but I think the Giants have their sights more firmly set on the Rockies on the wild card chase. They're just a game and a half behind Colorado.
Yeah, and they slipped to third place in the West behind Colorado. They're 6.5 coming into the night behind the Dodgers.
Grounded out to short. Hernandez with plenty of time as Molina, like his brother Yadier, not getting down the line with all the hustle in the world. 2 out. Of course, in Benji's case, he really does run that slow.
Are you saying that he's a truck horse?
I'm saying that he's really slow.
I'll say it.
So 2 out and nobody on. Here's Ryan Garco. Garco grounded out to second base his first time up. Has not hit much since joining the Giants. This is his 14th game since the trade from the Indians a couple of weeks ago.
They were hoping to get some power out of Garco.
Well, Garco hit 21 home runs his rookie year with the Indians.
And he has not hit a home run for the Giants yet. Granted, he's only been here 14 games.
And stepping into AT&T Park in San Francisco is not the best recipe for finding home runs. It is one of the worst home run hitting ballparks in the majors, despite the accomplishments, tainted though they may be, of Barry Bonds. And you see Parnell up to 57 pitches on 80 or so pitch count tonight. And Jerry Manuel jokingly said pregame today, 80 pitches, hopefully not in the first 2 innings. Well, he's already in the 4th and hoping to get 6 tonight. Down to first, knocked down by Tatis. Parnell slow to cover, but gets there ahead of the slow-footed Garco to retire the side. Parnell hesitated a couple of beats before getting off the mound, but was able to close ground, and that ends the inning. Still With a 1-0 lead, courtesy of Angel Pagan's first inning home run. Here's your Toyota text poll for tonight. Do you think Daniel Murphy is the Mets' first baseman of the future? A for yes, B for no. Text your response to 57508 or SNY.TV. Luis Castillo was at the plate when Angel Pagan was caught stealing to end the third, so he gets a fresh turn in the fourth. Well, one thing about Murphy is with Carlos Delgado now having suffered a strained oblique to go with his hip surgery, first base is at least clear for the rest of the season, or so it would seem. Although I'm sure Delgado is still hoping to come back, it's less likely now. However, Murphy's been out of the lineup the last 2 games now. 2-2 to Castillo.
Well, I think a lot will be decided after this homestand. We've got 48 going left tonight, and we've got a 10-game homestand here, so it'll be 38 left. I think they'll make some big decisions to play some younger people for the rest of the way, or not, depending on this homestand.
Castillo bangs one up the middle, and Louis got himself a leadoff hit. Only the second hit for the Mets off Zito, and the leadoff man on in the fourth with the heart of the batting order coming up. David Wright flying to right field his first time up. This afternoon, Derek Lee drove in 7 runs in that Cubs onslaught.
Think the wind was blown out?
Well, only for one team.
Well, let's see how Zito pitches right here. He's got to be careful with that slow curve. David's had a hard time getting around on fastballs up and particularly in this year.
It's this one well to right field. And Shearholtz again has enough room. Castillo goes back to tag, fakes the go, and will hold on to first base. So Wright twice in a row is flied out to right field.
Well, that's Death Valley out there, Gary, and David's hit a lot of balls with a lot of hang time this year in right field. I'd like to know how many outs he's made in the air to the opposite field here at City.
Now Sheffield, who struck out his first time up. And a big rip. 0-1 to Gary, who gets rarely cheated.
Always a big swinger. Well, a fastball right there. A little uppercut for a change. Gary usually stays very much on top of the high pitches. I think he was going for the downs there.
86-mile-an-hour fastball beat him. Drives this one to deep center field. Back goes the center fielder Rowan, and plenty of room to make the grab.
Big ballpark.
So Zito taking advantage. Has not had a ground ball out yet. He has pitched to the big ballpark, and other than Pagan's home run, has been successful with that. Now Jeff Francoeur, who flied out to right his first time up. Francoeur probably swung the bat better than any other Met during the last road trip.
Well, he has certainly done a fantastic job since coming over in the trade for Ryan Church.
Well, you were watching, Keith, on television. What did you see with Francoeur?
Well, like you said, he's taking a little more pitches. He's got a very mechanical swing and a long swing, and he needs to shorten up. You've got to pitch him inside and getting on his hands.
The center field again. Rowan misjudged it, and it goes over his head and hops up against the wall. Castillo being waved around third, and he'll score on the double by Francoeur. Rowan throws in center field, and Francoeur hit it over his head, driving in his 56th run of the year, and it's 2-0 New York.
Well, you're right about this. Let's see the pitch. Fastball. He got the barrel out. Didn't get it in enough. And you're right. Rowan just froze. Didn't think it was hit that hard. And Castillo with 2 outs on the get-go. Looks like he's hobbling.
He always looks like he's hobbling.
Well, I think he's hurt.
Of course, he suffered the sprained ankle during the last homestand going down the dugout steps. So Frank Core with the 2-out double drives in Castillo. Now Fernando Tatis with the Mets up 2-0. Takes a rip at a fastball, 0-1. Now Barry Zito, who's been living by the fly ball, got beat by the fly ball there when his fine center fielder Aaron Rowan simply misjudged that ball. The ball Rowan usually puts in his pocket. There's a strike, 0-2 to Tatis.
Boy, Zito has been pitching inside. You can see Rowan's not happy with himself. He knows he cost his ball club in a stretch run, a run. But Zito, what I've noticed on Zito, he's throwing the right-handers inside with that fastball, locating much better.
Zito getting 7 fly ball outs, no ground ball outs. Got an out with a caught stealing, the other 3 on strikeouts. And now finds himself behind 2-0. And one of the themes of Zito's tenure with the Giants is that they don't score much for him. Of course, the Giants don't score much for anybody, but I read this stat and it really boggled my mind. Zito's made 88 starts with the Giants before tonight since coming over in that free agent deal. They've scored 2 runs or less for Zito in 50 of the 88 starts. That's unbelievable. That's almost 57% of the time they score 2 runs or less when he's on the mound. And Tatis goes around for a 3rd strike. It's the 4th strikeout for Zito and ends the inning. But the Mets tack on a run, a leadoff hit by Castillo, and then Frank. Mentioned earlier that Mets Vice President Jay Horwitz is celebrating his birthday today, and Mr. Met came with a cake. Well, he already had all those cupcakes that appeared to be, all for Jay. So
the treadmill tomorrow for Jay,
at least for a couple of miles. Bobby Parnell in his 2nd big league start gets a first pitch grounder from Nate Shearholtz to lead off the 5th inning. 1 pitch and 1 retired. So Parnell looking terrific in his first starting assignment here at Citi Field. He's allowed just 2 singles, a 2-out single to Pablo Sandoval in the 1st, a leadoff single to Edgar Renteria in the 3rd, and that's it. No walks, 3 strikeouts for Parnell. And now he'll face Aaron Rowan with 1 out in the 5th. So Parnell, who required 68 pitches to get through 2 1/3 in his first start, has just gotten to 60 pitches with 1 out in the 5th. There's a strike to Rowan.
Well, he had to be a little bit nervous in San Diego in his first start. Probably more settled in now. Had a side session with pitching coach with the pitching coach and worked on things.
I'll tell you what he did before that first start, and I know this because I got there a little early. He got to the ballpark very early for his start at San Diego. He was probably there 5 hours before the game, which is what a lot of the relief pitchers will do. But when you're a starting pitcher, you're allowed to get there later than everybody else. As he gets ruined on 3 pitches for his 4th strikeout of the night. Well, tonight, I was in the clubhouse when Bobby got there. It was a little after 4 o'clock, so it was less than 3 hours before the game, and that's more appropriate, I think, for a starting pitcher. He had less time to maybe think about it.
And particularly on your first start of the season, you can get too much of that, become a baseball rat. These guys today, they live in that ballpark. You couldn't get me 6 hours in that ballpark. You couldn't pay me enough.
Guys do that all the time
Oh,
now.
couldn't do it.
So you're saying he didn't get here early?
He got here probably when I got there.
But I 8 next to him. That's Kid. That's Kid's number 8.
Yep.
From Montreal. Swinging a dribbler foul.
Good breaking ball all of a sudden for Parnell. Found a nice rhythm. Good down break, too, and good location. Nothing to it, right?
Well, part of his goal tonight was to mix in more of his sliders and an occasional changeup, and he's done that.
Well, the good thing is that he went through the beginning of the game, first couple innings, established his fastball, got a rhythm. Now everything's working for him.
1-2 to Renteria. Well, Bobby Parnell was a starting pitcher throughout his minor league career, and the Mets this spring were undecided whether to send him back to AAA to start or keep him here to relieve. And they opted to keep him here because they felt as though with his fastball he could be dominant late in games, and certainly he was that early in the season. Hit a bit of a trough before bouncing back for the last month, and now with all the injuries getting a chance to start. In there for a call, strike 3. Got Renteria looking. Back-to-back strikeouts for Parnell, who has posted 5 scoreless innings. Yeah. City Field for this homestand. Kevin Burkhart's been looking around. Kevin?
Yeah, they hung up some new wallpaper around the house, guys, when we were gone. Some really nice enhancements to City Field since the last time we were here. And they start with some really cool history, some neat little photographs. Here you see one. We've got Daryl and Keith. Nice little swagger there, Keithy. And then, of course, the doc is Santos. Punches right into center. I think that was Santos. I can't see it from out here in center. Oh, it was Santos. Okay, just making sure. Anyway, so they got some really nice stuff around. They got some pictures of the '69 Mets that are on a couple of different levels, on the field level and on the promenade level. And then, guys, a couple of new HD screens around the ballpark. And what these have done is basically eliminate blind spots, because what they do is they go live to the cameras when the ball is in play. So no matter where you're sitting now, you can kind of see the action. So nice little touches around Citi Field when we were gone, guys.
And throw in the championship banners that we showed you before out on the outfield fence. So little by little, it's feeling more and more like home. Here's Anderson Hernandez. Late on the fastball from Zito. It's 0-1. Hernandez flied to center his first time up. Fourth start for Anderson since coming over in the trade from the Nationals, for whom he played second base for most of the first half of the season. But when the Nats changed managers, Anderson's playing time diminished. He was deemed expendable there, and the Mets picked him up. Changeup fouled off, and it's 0-2. Bobby Parnell waiting on deck. Well, you have to be impressed with what you're seeing from Parnell tonight.
Well, he's throwing strikes and getting ahead. And now, as his games progressed, he's starting to get a good feel for his slider. So this is the best I've seen Parnell pitch. But then again, we've never seen him pitch over an extended period of time. And in a game, it's always been 1 inning and out.
Yeah, he had made a 3-inning appearance when the Mets were on the last homestand. And that kind of set the stage for him to jump into the rotation when Jonathan Neese went down. It's something the Mets had been thinking about anyway, down the road or next year, but provided with the opportunity now, Parnell will get 7 weeks as a starting pitcher. Hernandez chasing the high fastball, and that's 6 strikeouts now for Barry Zito.
Well, up the ladder. Just kept going up, up, up on Anderson, and he chased.
Making 5 strikeouts for Zito. 1 out and 1 on with Parnell coming up. Here's your 5th inning recap. Zito's been on top of his game, but gave up the home run to Pagan, and then the misplayed double off the bat of Frank Corey gave the Mets a second run, and Parnell has shut the Giants out over the first 5. Now looking to move a runner with his bat, and he takes a curveball for a strike. Parnell struck out his first time up, looking for his first big league sacrifice.
Sandoval playing at third base, playing very tight.
Hard back to Zito, turns down the play at second and gets the out at first.
He had him at second. He barehanded it, and that was risky. He did not have to barehand. He could have fielded it with his glove. And I thought when he fielded it with his throwing hand, bare hand, Gary, he was going to go to second. Oh, he's out by a mile.
The only thing I can think of is maybe didn't have a perfect grip.
Possibly.
Had to reset. Because he had the catcher Santos running and certainly had a play there.
Almost threw it away.
Sanchez covering at first. 1-4 on the sacrifice, so Parnell gets his first big league sacrifice bunt. And now Pagan will try and pick up Santos from second. Pagan has homered and walked tonight. And he bounces the curveball foul, 0-1. Pagan's home run was his 3rd of the year. All 3 have come as a right-hand batter. And the leadoff home run in the first inning was the first by a Met this year and the first for Pagan in his career. Angels sat out the last 2 games in Arizona after making some less than stellar plays in center field, and Jerry Manuel put Corey Sullivan in the lineup.
Well, they were mental mistakes, and particularly the play the blooper off the bat of Doug Davis. And Pagan's comments were, "I'll make that play all the time," and that's fine, but you know, 1 run should have scored only,
or none. You had the catcher running at second base.
Exactly, and you've just got to know who your base runners are, and you know, ever since he made the comments in the paper, he hasn't played. And Jerry sat him down a couple days. What is that?
It's a Fernando Martinez model that says controlling the game. But that's Castillo holding the bat.
Well, steady diet of off-speed pitches to Pagan, Gary, and I've noticed with Angel. Angel has not a great off-speed hitter. Excuse me. He's a good fastball hitter, a good fast-speed hitter, but you throw him a little something off-speed, it gives him a little bit of trouble. And Zito has a lot of off-speed.
Popped up in foul ground, and Garco has plenty of room.
And that retires the side. So the Mets get a leadoff hit from Santos. He is stranded at second. Parnell back to the mound. Cheer for the Amazons at the Mets live on SNY viewing party at Red Star in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. It's the place to be as the Mets take on the Braves. Be there Tuesday at 7 p.m. We'd be there, but we have to be here. Bobby Parnell out to the mound for the 6th inning.
Some of us have to work.
Yes, we do. And happy to do it because it's not really like working. We just go to ball games.
Barry Zito will lead off in the 6th inning.
Giants have had just 2 singles against Parnell, who's retired the last 9 in a row. And Zito takes a strike. So this has been a tremendous night so far for Parnell.
I don't think Jerry Manuel felt you told him to get 6 out of Parnell, and Jerry would have been very, really, he's pitched wonderfully.
Well, they said 80 or so pitches, so the hope is that he can get through the 6th and then send it off to the bullpen. Of course, you tend to get greedy in these situations. If you can get 6 out of Parnell, you might want 7, but I don't think they're going to push that pitch count much past 80 or 85. Zito taps one foul.
I agree because of the fact that he's been relieving all year. You don't want to push him in his 2nd start. You wouldn't want to just gradually lift him up as each start progresses. Oh, hello. It's a panda. That's a Giant fan.
Strike 3 called.
Zito down looking. 6 strikeouts now for Parnell, who had never had more than 3 in a big league game before tonight. Time to check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by with a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. And while the Phillies are ahead down in Georgia, the Marlins lead the Rockies 3-0 in Florida. That game's in the bottom of the 5th, and Josh Johnson is not allowed to hit over the first 5 innings.
He is such an unheralded pitcher, kind of under the radar screen, pitching down there in Miami. I'll tell you what, he is one of the top 3 pitchers in the National League. And you've got 2 of them over there in that Giant ball club with Lincecum and Kane. I'll tell you what, I have no problem with that young man in Florida pitching for him.
Parnell behind on Eugenio Velez 2-0. Velez is 0 for 2. And he swings and misses the fastball 2-1.
There's that big swing from Velez again. You can go up the ladder on him. He's a chaser.
2-1 from Parnell off the fists of foul ball, and it's 2-2. Freddie Sanchez waiting on deck for the Giants. Well, they mentioned the Giants are a game and a half behind the Rockies for the wild card. The Marlins are only 3 back, and the Braves 3.5. So things have really tightened in that wild card race. Swing and a miss. He struck him out with a fastball at 96. That is 4 consecutive strikeouts for Parnell, his 7th of the night.
Just a fastball down in off the plate. But the fact that he went upstairs and then brought it back down the ladder, he has just completely controlled Velez this game.
Well, if this is Parnell's last inning, he's certainly trying to finish with a flourish. Sanchez is grounded out and flied out, and he fouls the first offering off. 0-1 to Sanchez. Parnell is retired 11 in a row since Renteria's leadoff hit in the 3rd. And he's now struck out the last 4 straight hitters. That one's lined into center field, and Sanchez has the Giants' 3rd hit of the night. So after Parnell had retired 11 in a row, Sanchez breaks that string, and now Pablo Sandoval, the best home run hitter in the Giants lineup, will come up as the tying run.
Well, one of the few mistakes he's made with the breaking ball today. That's a hanger right over the middle of the plate, and you can see Parnell's expression. He knew he hung it.
Get some stirring around in the Mets bullpen, and Sandoval steps in. He has one of the 3 hits. Brian Stokes readying himself to take the bullpen mound. Sandoval has singled to center and fly to right, 1 for 2. Pablo Sandoval tonight celebrating the 1-year anniversary of his major league debut. He's a lifetime .333 hitter in that first year in the big leagues. If you look at the pitch count on Parnell, nearing the end of the line.
Excellent balls and strikes ratio there. 58-23.
2-0 to Sandoval. Since Sandoval joined the Giants last year and made his debut, there are only 3 hitters in the National League who've hit for a higher average. Hanley Ramirez, Albert Pujols, and Christian Guzman. Sandoval's 4th, and David Wright is 5th over that span. So he has really broken in with a bang.
You've got to keep the ball away here, Garrett. 2-0 count, big ballpark.
Up and away, and it's 3-0 to Sandoval, who has a reputation of chasing but has not chased in this at bat. And now with the count 3-0, Dan Warthen's going to go to the mound. There you see those numbers since Sandoval's debut. It's 3-0 to Sandoval. It's a dangerous spot because you know he likes to swing the bat.
Well, I think with this lineup right here and the fact that they don't score a lot of runs, and you got your #1 power hitter, wouldn't be surprised if Bruce Bochy gives him the hit sign. You just got to keep the ball away here. It's a big ballpark. You want to try to hit. There's Bruce. You want to try to hit it out, pull it, go right ahead. Here's a ball away. Show me you can do it.
Well, with the pitch count for Parnell being where it is, this could well be his last batter. You got Benji Molina, another dangerous hitter on deck. Here's your Aflac trivia question. The question was, who made the most relief appearances before making his first start? Parnell had 60. Troy Percival had 638 before he made his first big league start.
I did not even know that Percival started.
3-0 to Sandoval, and he takes a rip and fouls it off.
A big fastball right down Broadway, up though. Surprised they wanted to come inside. Oh my word, that was a big gamble right there.
Well, Sandoval was thinking game tying 2-run homer, but he fouled it off, and now it's 3-1. Freddie Sanchez at first with 2 down. 2-0 New York, 6th inning. Parnell trying to finish his assignment on a positive. Swing and a miss. 95 from Parnell, and it's 3-2.
Wants it in. It's bled out over the outer half. But he's just throwing hard, Gary. And you can always get away with a mistake more on a fastball than you can on the breaking ball, particularly when you're throwing 95 miles an hour.
Well, he knows this is his last batter. Sanchez gets set to run. 3-2 to Sandoval. Popped it up. Shallow left field. In comes Sheffield to call. And the side retired. Bobby Parnell in his second big league start finishes with 6 scoreless innings.
A big night for Parnell and a 2-0 Met lead. Services provided to the Mets. Xerox, ready for real business. Bobby Parnell coming off the mound after getting Pablo Sandoval on the fly ball and getting nothing but smiles and hugs and congratulations after 6 scoreless innings in his second major league start.
Well, more importantly, through strikes, as you said, Gare, no walks through those 6 innings and an impressive 7 punch-outs.
86 pitches, 61 for strikes. That is a tremendous strike-to-ball ratio. No walks, 7 strikeouts, and a job extremely well done for Bobby Parnell. Now the Mets will set about trying to get him a win, leading 2-0 as we play the bottom of the 6th. Castillo single leading off the 4th and scored a run. And Louis takes up and away from Zito, 2-1. Castillo 1 for 2 tonight, has one of the Mets' 4 hits. David Wright and Gary Sheffield to follow here in the home 6th. And the off-speed pitch up and away, 3-1.
Well, Castillo's run is the add-on right now. It should be a 1-0 ball game, and that double, it scored Castillo, and that's ball 4 to lead off the inning. A no-no for Zito.
Second walk given up by Zito, so the Mets get the leadoff man on for the 3rd straight inning. And you see the pitch count on Zito, who has been fabulous for the Giants since the All-Star break. 3-1, 2.32 ERA. Now David Wright, who twice has flied out to right field. David began the night as the leading hitter in the league by far against left-handers. He was hitting .435 against lefties starting the night, and nobody else was over .400. But twice has hit the ball in the air to right field against Zito tonight.
Gosh, you want to hit and run here? David's been going the other way well, particularly on the road trip also. I know he's your 3rd hitter. I mean, he hasn't had a great power year this year. It's questionable whether he's going to hit 10 home runs. But he does go the other way naturally. You can really turn this game around with a nice hit and run. Set it up 1st and 3rd.
Now they're behind on the count, 0-2.
He rips one down the left field line. That's a fair ball bouncing into the corner. Castillo heads to 3rd as Velez digs it out. Razor shines, holds up Castillo as Wright cruises in with his 31st double of the year. And the Mets have 2nd and 3rd and nobody out.
Well, they want to come inside, and David turns. And the Mets are set up for the big inning here now, second and third. Castillo, will watch him run again, running a little better. Just looks like he's hurting all the time, doesn't it?
There is action in the Giants bullpen as Zito has given up a walk and a double to start the bottom of the sixth. The Giants are forced to bring the infield in with Gary Sheffield coming up. Benji Molina wants a chat with his infield.
And this is going to give time for Justin Miller to get up in that bullpen for the Giants.
Justin Miller, he of the long sleeves.
Ray Bradbury, the illustrated man.
Dave Righetti, the Giants pitching coach, checking out the pitch count and keeping an eye on Zito as he chats with Bruce Bochy. That wouldn't be a bad left-hander to throw out there on the mound if you needed an out or two. Righetti.
Oh, please. I face Dave in the. Oh, here comes Bochy. He's going to make a move here.
So that's going to be it for Zito. He faces two batters here in the sixth inning after being allowed to hit in the top of the inning. He's going to be pulled after 86 pitches, or at least that's the way it appears. And Justin Miller, with most of his tattoos covered up by the long sleeves, will be coming on to pitch to Gary Sheffield with two in scoring position. It's called to the bullpen, brought to is the most to you. The latest news on all things New York sports. Mark Sanchez and the Jets take on the Rams in their preseason opener. Eli Manning and his contract extension. We'll hear from him and also from new Eagles quarterback Michael Vick as he was introduced to the media today. Geico Sports Night tonight after the postgame right here on SNY. Barry Zito gone after 5 innings plus, and he leaves a mess for Justin Miller to try and clean up.
Well, Justin Miller's 38th appearance. He's been the main long reliever for this ball club. Retired 27 of his last 34 batters. That's over his last 7 outings.
Infield in for Sheffield, who's 0 for 2 tonight, and Gary lines one into center field. Rowan staggering there to make the catch. Castillo tags, heads home. Rowan hits the cutoff man. Castillo scores, and it's 3-0 New York. First pitch, sacrifice fly for Sheffield, who drives in his 39th run of the year.
Well, nice hitting by Chef. Oh, it's the first ball. It's a hanging slider. Big run to drive in. Look, he didn't launch that one. Rowan does a good job at coming forward with the throw, but didn't really get a good throw in at all. And you see the IOTV pitch differential, and that big difference there is up and out over the middle, not down and away.
Now Jeff Francoeur, who drove one over Rowan's head for a double to get a run home in the 4th, as Miller takes a glance back at right. who likes to steal third in these spots. Frank Kerr now with 21 RBIs in his 30 games as a Met. And this time Rowan's playing him a little deeper than he was the last time. Slow ground ball, right will advance as Renteria throws out Frank Kerr for the second out. So 2 away, and now Fernando Tatis. Fernando was fouled out to first and struck out tonight, 0 for 2.
It's been a tough slog for Fernando this year. Just hasn't been able to get untracked offensively.
Not happy with that Phil Cuzzy strike call. Justin Miller, now 31 years old. Spent the last 2 years pitching for the Marlins, so the Mets saw plenty of him. 46 games with Florida last year. And the slider off the plate to Tatis, 1-1.
Well, you sure know this team's from New York.
Yes, indeed. And if you're joining us late, these are uniforms based on 1905 New York Giants uniforms. And those were good uniforms for the Giants because they won the World Championship in 1905. The next year they wore different uniforms. John McGraw so proud of the Giants winning the World Series that in 1906 they wore uniforms that said World Champions across the front.
Are you kidding?
Nope.
Was that back in the days of Christy Mathewson?
You bet. Grounded to shortstop. Renteria gets in front of it and throws out Tatis to end the inning. Mets that tack on a run. The sacrifice fly by Sheffield means 3 in the book. With the radio guys, and well, it all depends, you know. If we at the water slide at the hotel in Arizona, of course we're hanging out together. We try and go doubles down the slide, right?
Well, I didn't make the trip. You guys get all the fun. Normally we don't hang out during the day. We do our prepping on the road. We're very serious about our work.
Come on, tell the truth.
But every now and again, we get a crowbar in Gary's room, his hotel door, and pry open that door and get him down and come down and have a little couple appetizers after a game, maybe a white wine, and talk over the game, get Bill Webb, the Kroops. Yes, so we do that once in a while.
Now, you missed on the last road trip. We played basketball. We got the writers, we got the radio guys, we had a couple of stragglers in there. We played in San Diego and Arizona.
In the heat.
Yeah, well, it was. We played at 9 in the morning in Arizona to try and beat the heat. But You know, Kevin's pretty tough. I just want you to know. You don't want to be guarding Kevin Burkhardt. Bobby Parnell stays in the dugout and looks on as Brian Stokes tries to protect his lead in the 7th. 1-1 to Benji Molina, who gets under one to shallow left. Sheffield started back, but plenty of time to get under it. Really don't like the way Gary catches that ball.
I agree with you.
But he has not dropped one yet.
Well, it's like way down to the left by the belt and roll one hand.
We saw Carlos Delgado drop a ball earlier this year, catching it very much the same way off to the side.
I've forgotten. That's so long ago.
It was in Atlanta.
I forget.
Here's Ryan Garko, who's 0 for 2. Twice has grounded out to the right side. And takes a slider for a strike from Stokes, who has been terrific. And the Mets double switched and brought Murphy into the game to play first base. That's going to give Stokes a chance to go 2 innings tonight, as he gets one on the hands of Garko, and it's 0-2.
Well, even if I was on that trip with you guys, I can't play basketball with you guys.
You could have reffed.
No, I could. Yes, I could have reffed. What fun! Give me a whistle.
You could
I'd have fouled you out.
You could have done color commentary. Now that would have been fun.
The reason why I can't play is my legs are shot. I've pulled so many muscles in my legs, I'd have no shot.
Driven to right center field, moving over is Pagan. He almost misplayed it, but he goes up to grab it for the second out.
It's the second ball out here that's been misjudged by a center fielder. And that almost got over his head there.
You understand it more on the ball hit right over your head like the one with Rowan. This one he had a better angle on. Moving to his left.
Nice recovery.
Well, good thing he has good athletic skills. Angel, by the way, while we were playing basketball in Arizona, happened by. He watched for about 30 seconds, said, "You guys are terrible," and he walked away.
Really?
Yes. Well, he was right. We are terrible. Sherholtz lined out to left and grounded out to short 0 for 2. I mean, you can imagine what he'd look like on a basketball court. He'd be dunking over all of us. He's got a 43-inch vertical leap, Angel Pagan. He'd be posterizing us. Fortunately, he didn't come out to play. Sherholtz went around, and it's 1-2. Stokes ahead 1-2. And Sherholtz lifts one to shallow right center. Ambling in is Pagan. And that'll do it for the Giants in the top of the 7th. A 1-2-3 inning for Brian Stokes. 7th inning stretch time at Citi Field. Brought to you by Lexus, by Bob's Discount Furniture, and by City. City never sleeps. Justin Miller, who came on to get 3 outs in the 6th inning, stays on for the 7th to face the lower third of the Mets batting order. Omir Santos, Anderson Hernandez, and then Daniel Murphy, who's in the 9 hole. Barry Zito went 5 innings plus and heads for the clubhouse. Santos has hit the ball hard twice after taking a foul ball off his right shoulder. He lined out to left field in the 2nd, then singled to center field in the 5th. Tim Redding will stay loose in the Mets bullpen, but you have to believe Stokes is going to pitch the 8th. Slider hit right back to Miller. And Santos retired for the first out. So Miller's faced 4 and retired 4. And now Anderson Hernandez will step in.
Well, Anderson Hernandez gives them another middle infielder. Cora was just so much was demanded of Cora. I think Cora wore down as the year wore on.
Jerry said he wants to take a look at Anderson Hernandez at short, at second, as a defensive replacement, as a pinch runner, just to get a sense of whether he's a guy he wants to have as part of this team in the future. Lines one over short and just tall enough for Renteria to grab for the 2nd out.
Does Mr. Johnson still have a no-no down in Florida?
He does. In fact, he's going to be going out there for the 7th inning momentarily, working on a no-hitter against Colorado.
Atlanta and Philly are tied, I see.
2-2 as they play in the 6th in Atlanta. Now Daniel Murphy will bat for the first time. Came in on the double switch in the top of the inning. Murphy coming off the bench for the 2nd straight day. Went just 1 for 9 in the series in Arizona.
Murphy's been very successful off the bench as a pinch hitter. This wouldn't be considered a pinch hit, correct?
No. Well, here are the results of the Toyota Text Bowl. We asked whether you thought Daniel Murphy's the Mets' first baseman of the future, and he wins a slight majority, 53-47.
It's like last presidential election. Same number.
Just about. 1 and 2 now to Murphy. Changeup from Miller misses 2 and 2. Miller's been actually much better against left-hand hitters than he has been against right-hand hitters, using that changeup. And Murph goes down swinging at the slider, and that'll do it for the Mets in the bottom of the 7th. So 6 up and 6 down for Justin Miller in relief. And now Brian Stokes will go back to the mound for the 8th inning. take on Pablo Sandoval and the Giants here at Citi Field. Mets-Giants coverage begins with KFC pregame live Monday at 6:30, only on SNY. Mets have gotten great pitching tonight. 6 scoreless from Bobby Parnell, who allowed just 3 singles. And a 1-2-3 7th from Brian Stokes, who will face Aaron Rowan to begin the 8th. And Rowan, who has struck out twice tonight, fouls off the first pitch. Well, we've been telling you for weeks that Met pitchers have walked more hitters than any staff in the National League as Pedro Feliciano gets up in the Mets bullpen. Only 3 times this year have the Mets had a game in which they did not walk a single hitter. The last 2 times that happened were when the Mets played the Giants in San Francisco back in May. And sure enough, tonight, Met pitchers have not issued a single walk again. And Rowan down swinging. He has struck out for the 3rd time tonight.
Excellent curveball by Stokes here. Look at the break downward. I've always liked Stokes. It's like the Rodney Dangerfield of that bullpen out there. He comes in with men on base. You don't have to worry about him with the inherited runners. If you get him, you've earned it.
There's Renteria, who takes a fastball for a strike. Mid pitchers have been throwing strikes all night as Fred Lewis has come out on deck to pinch hit. 1-1 to Renteria, who has one of the 3 Giants hits. He's singled back in the 3rd. There have been 18 Giant hitters since then, and only 1 has reached base. Bouncing ball toward the middle. Anderson Hernandez can't get it, and neither can Castillo, and it trickles through. And Renteria has his 2nd hit of the night. Talking about your seeing eye single.
A Baltimore chop.
Looked like Hernandez was going to get there.
He got there. He just missed it. He just didn't reach out for it.
It looked like he pulled his glove away. I'm not sure why.
He's got to take that ball. When you cut in front, you got to go get it.
So a mistake by Anderson Hernandez, allowing Renteria to reach. And now Fred Lewis will bat for the pitcher. Lewis, who has been supplanted in the starting lineup for the Giants, has had himself a rough year. Hitting at .266, just 4 homers and 15 RBIs. And he takes ball 1.
And that's around 270 at bats with those 15 RBIs. That's not productive.
Eugenio Velez, who has kind of taken Lewis's job, is waiting on deck. Lewis with a lot of speed from the left side, and he takes one below the knees. 2-0. Needless to say, this is a hitter that Stokes could not walk. 3-0 game. Tying run on deck.
They're shading him to the opposite field. Francoeur way over in left center.
And now it's 3-0 to Lewis. So Stokes missing badly. And Dan Wortham to the phone. Got Feliciano in the bullpen with the switch hitting Velez, who's a much better left-hand hitter than right, waiting on deck. That would be a call for Feliciano. And there's ball 4. First walk of the night issued by Met pitching, and that'll get the tying run to the plate for the Giants here in the 8th. So after Stokes retired the first 4, he gives up a seeing eye single and a 4-pitch walk, and that'll be all for Stokes, and Feliciano will be brought in to face Velez. So Perpetual Pedro will get the call, trying to protect a 3-0 lead in the 8th inning. Pitching change for the Mets. We'll be back to Citi Field in just a moment. An inning and a third, leaves 2 base runners aboard for Pedro Feliciano to try and pick up.
Well, Pedro, the only left-hander in the Met bullpen, and he is well on his way to another 80 appearance season.
Got a rough outing his last go in Phoenix. At the first pitch, it down to first. Murphy to second for 1. Hernandez back, and Feliciano stepped in front of Murphy, so no double play.
Well, Murphy almost got run over. He's standing right in the baseline.
Well, a little confusion there.
This should have been turned. Feliciano, Murph. Well, you know what? If Murph gets there, it's his ball. But he's got to call him off.
But he's also got to get his foot in a better spot than where he did.
Well, he got his. He's lucky it wasn't Greg Luzinski. Did he touch first base? Let's see. He did not.
Went right over the bag.
Oh, my word.
But he did come back to the bag afterward. Nobody detected that. I'm not sure if first base umpire Brian Onora knew that. In any event, it goes as a 3-6 force play, erasing Lewis. Renteria now at third, Velez at first, and Freddie Sanchez now the tying run at the plate. Sanchez is 1 for 3 on the night. 3-0 New York, 8th inning. And that's off the plate for ball 1. Well, we have seen some strange doings on potential double plays over the last few days.
That wasn't a nice play by Murph to get there. He just didn't have the Sean Green up in the bullpen. He just didn't stepped over the bag.
Do you think that Feliciano knew that Murphy was having trouble with his footwork and that's why he knocked that ball down?
No, I don't think that there's any familiarity with the pitching staff and Murphy over there at first base. He hasn't played there long enough. You know, and Murphy has always shown the aggressiveness. And I agree with him. You can get back to the bag, keep the pitcher out of it. But I don't think they're very familiar with each other.
Well, it would have been very interesting to see what would have happened if Feliciano had let that ball go with the way Murph was slipping and sliding at first base.
If he let it go, it was in the dugout.
So probably a good play on Pedro's part to knock it down. 2-1 to Sanchez. Pulled down to third. Wright's got it. And the throw across to first in time. So Feliciano comes on, gets 2 hard-hit grounders for 2 big outs. And we head to the bottom of the 8th, top of the order. Ben's attention assist of the game, and it came in the bottom of the first inning, leading off Angel Pagan with the Mets' first leadoff home run of the season. And the Mets have been in front ever since. Now they'll try and tack on in the bottom of the 8th against Merkin Valdez.
Well, Valdez here, his 37th game, as you can see. Much better against the lefties. His right-handers give him trouble. No, that always tells me you got a right-hander that gets lefties out. Against the right-handers are having success. he hasn't got a great breaking ball, great command of the breaking ball. He leaves it out over the plate.
Well, here's Pagan, who delivered the keynote address tonight with his 3rd home run of the year, 1 for 2 and a walk. Turns around about left-handed for the first time in the game. It'll be Pagan, Castillo, and Wright as the Mets try and add on before handing it over to Frankie Rodriguez for the 9th inning. Of course, there's got to be something in the back of Frankie's mind that says, just as soon they didn't add on. Give me a chance for a save.
Exactly.
He picked up his 25th save in the last outing. He was handed a 3-run lead in Arizona on Wednesday. Gave up a run in that 9th inning before registering the save, which came after back-to-back lone saves for K-Rod in the last game on the homestand, or one of the last games on the homestand, and then the game in San Diego.
Santana's bat right there. I've never heard of an F series before.
So Castillo, what did he have? He had a Fernando Martinez his last time up, and he's got a Johan Santana this time up. Did he? You think he just ran out of bats?
Is he in a slump? Is he searching for something that feels good in his hands?
(3-1), and Pagan fouls it back. Well, we just got word on Billy Wagner tonight. What might be his final rehab outing. 3 batters faced, 10 pitches, 1-2-3 inning. Billy has not given up anything in his 6 rehab appearances now, so there's every chance that Billy's next appearance will be as a Met. May be activated as soon as Sunday.
That'll give the Mets another left-hander in that bullpen.
Pagan lifts one to center, and Rowan circles in. 1 out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Toyota. By Geico. And by Corona. Enjoy responsibly.
Did we get an attendance yet here? It's a nice crowd.
38,000 and change.
Beautiful.
Castillo has singled and walked and scored 2 runs. And he takes a strike, 0-1. 38,997 your official attendance tonight.
So round it up.
Almost 39,000 minus 3. Good fastball by Valdez, 0-2.
He's also got an excellent off-speed pitch to the lefty. Good little sinking. It's almost like a split finger. It takes a lot off of it.
Gene Valdez, the 3rd Giants pitcher of the night. Bounces that one, 1-2. Barry Zito went 5 innings plus, allowed 3 runs and 5 hits, and yet another game in which the Giants don't score for Zito.
Dave Righetti, pitching coach, former Yankee, of course. Threw a no-no here at Yankee Stadium. Not here, over there.
Over there, over there.
Is that the Air Force song?
It's the old over there, as opposed to the new over there, not to be confused with the new over here.
Stop parsing words with me.
Is that a garnish? Slash foul by Castillo.
And will Florida open up that game 5-1 in the 7th?
Dan Ugler with his 21st home run for the Marlins. You can see the Phillies and Braves still tied as they go to the 7th. 1-2 from Valdez. Lifted into shallow left center, and Rowan over there. 2 out. So 2 out and nobody on. David Wright coming up. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, Carlos Beltran chose not to talk to the media today because he wants to see how he feels tomorrow. Worked out today in center field, felt no pain. If he does that tomorrow, he could be actually talking about a comeback here. And I asked Jerry the importance of that. He said, well, just because he's a core player, it lifts the spirits of everyone in the organization going forward into spring training. This way there's no question in the spring whether or not he can perform. That was kind of an interesting comment just about not only lifting the spirits this year, but just going into spring, what that could do for this team. The fact that he actually came back. Guys?
Well, certainly the Mets would be thrilled to have Beltran back for any part of the year that he can play, but most importantly that he be healthy to do it, because right now there's no point in pushing it if he's less than healthy.
I'm not going to wait till after this homestand and to see where the Mets are, and then it could be shutdown time for everybody. Let him heal.
Well, I think, you know, if a guy's healthy, then there's no reason for him not to play, particularly a guy who's part of your long-term future, which Carlos Beltran is.
I would be reluctant to have him go out there and further injure it. I really would, particularly if at the end of this homestand, but there'll be 38 games left, if there's still 10 back, I'd be reluctant to put him out there where you might re-injure it. But what do I know?
Right hits one to center field, and Rowan makes all three putouts in the inning. And now we go to the ninth, and K-Rod gets a chance for a save against 3, 4, and 5 of the Giants. Field, and Francisco Rodriguez will try and nail it down for Bobby Parnell.
Well, 52nd appearance. You can see 25 of 30 in the save department. Hit a serious bump on the road, trying to get it back on track.
Throwing more fastballs his last 2 outings, as Pablo Sandoval leads off in the 9th inning.
Well, you know what I've observed? Sorry, Gary, I didn't mean to step on you there, but my feeling is this: Frankie has great stuff. He likes to nibble and get hitters to swing at bad pitches. I think he's got the stuff to go right after hitters with his fastball, curve, and changeup. It's that good, all 3 pitches. No need to kind of, okay, I'm going to nibble here. I'm going to see if a guy will swing at this curveball in the dirt. This changeup just missing outside. Go after him. He's got great stuff. I think that's what they're trying to do, get him to be more aggressive.
I think there's no question that he's been that the last couple of outings. I think he realized after the game in San Diego, where he gave up the walk-off grand slam, that he just had to come after people a little more. Sandoval pops one up in foul ground. Moving over is Hernandez to call off right, and he makes the grab. One away.
Well, it's for number 1, it's the left fielder's ball if he calls it off. Number 2, it's the shortstop. David Wright is the 3rd man in command here, and he properly backs off.
And Hernandez using 2 hands to make sure, as that ball trickled right to the webbing.
Oh, my pet peeve. Love to see it.
1 out and nobody on. Here's Benji Molina, who's gone 0 for 3 today. The story tonight, the starting effort of Bobby Parnell in his second big league start. 6 scoreless innings, 3 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts for Parnell, who did not allow a runner past first base. Just a stellar effort, and a hint of more to come. One and one to Molina. His brother Jose used to catch Frankie Rodriguez in Anaheim. Swing and a miss at the fastball, and it's 1-2.
Big cut. Not the kind of swing you want to see when you're 3 runs down. You need base runners, not a solo home run.
One and 2 to Molina. Popped up foul. That'll come back out of play. And again, K-Rod throwing mostly fastballs.
And strikes.
Well, do you think the two are related?
Hey, Tom Seaver always said most important pitch, strike one. As a hitter, you want to hit 0-2 or 2-0.
Again, the 1-2. Grounded out to short. Hernandez with plenty of time. 2 out.
And that sets up when he throws the fastball, Garrett, and now he can throw that little curveball. That's not a little one, it's a big one. And the hitter's 6 of 3 in the scorecard, all set up with the fastball.
So now the Giants are down to their final out of the night. Ryan Garco, the batter. Garco's gone 0 for 3. Lined out to center field, a ball that almost got over the head of Pagan in the 7th. The Giants have had 4 singles. The Met pitchers have walked only 1. The only scoring threat came in the 8th when they put 2 aboard, but Feliciano came on to get 2 big outs. And now Garco fouls back the first offering, 0-1. The Giants on the verge of being shut out for the 6th time this season. The Mets have had 9 shutout victories, all combined efforts. The Rockies are trailing 5-1 in the 8th in Florida, so right now the Giants and Rockies both trailing, with Colorado leading the wild card by a game and a half over San Francisco. 1-1 now to Garco. Frankie Rodriguez trying to nail down his 26th save of the year. 26 is not quite 62, which is what he had last year as an Angel, an all-time record. And Garco fouls one off the end of the bat, and now the Giants are down to their final strike. Blake Shearholtz would be next. $38,997 looking for the final pitch of the night from K-Rod. Fouled off the right side. We'll do it again.
Nice pitch right there up the ladder. Very defensive swing by Garco. Just trying to hang in the at bat, and now he's kind of set up for right downstairs.
A struggle for the Stanford grad Garco since coming over from the Indians to the Giants.
9 hits in today's ball game. Mets 5, Giants 4.
1-2. Bouncing ball. In comes Hernandez. And the ball game is over. A 1-2-3 save for Francisco Rodriguez as he nails it down from Bobby Parnell, who gets his first win as a starter in the majors with 6 scoreless innings. And the Mets have won 2 straight as they